let's get into this Ciel deck profile. So we are on Spirit of Fire, but the Caban Classic, I am also running Spirit of Serene Fire. I found myself really enjoying this with non-Crux builds lately. You have the material deck space for it. We run a fluffy shopkeep in the list, so you can always get kind of a use out of the Spirit that you don't bring out. We go Spirit of Fire for most matchups, or if you're against hyper aggro, we are a little bit of a slower deck, so we need the extra health with Serene Fire. So that is the reasoning for dual Spirits. We have Ciel level 1, pretty obvious. Ciel's been around for a bit, so I'm not going to explain everything. We're just going to talk about the unique things about this deck that most people won't know. Ciel level 1, 2, 3. It is what it is. Then we have Grand Snare. So this is huge for this deck. We are a big attack-based deck. This is an amazing tool for him. We do usually get a pretty good chunk of floating memory in the graveyard. Usually very easy to get at least one counter on the Malice, and this is a stupid strong card. So we are running Malice. We have Armoire. This is great utility, also a fantastic way to pop Crystallized Destiny, which is running all over the place right now. So Armoire is pretty huge, especially for our deck in particular, actually, but we'll talk about that more later. We have a Terrafring, help against more aggro. We have a Chalice of Blood. We're a 30 health champion. We do even have Serene in the list as well, so Chalice is usually pretty easy to pop off. And then we have Inert Sword because we are running the Looking Glass. Two reasons for the Looking Glass. One, being inert is really huge. This getting the class bonus to be an actual 3-attack sword is gigantic. Normally this is only a 2-attack with the Lorraines that are bringing out and stuff, so getting 3 damage is pretty huge. And then we are on the Looking Glass because we also want to run 4 copies of Reckoning's Wake. So this is a good floating memory target. We are in fire, pairs really well there, and it allows you to look at the top deck and rearrange them, which is important because we are on 4 Rictus Tiding. So there's a couple of reasons for this. It just has good synergy with the costs that we have in our deck, and it just helps you get that +1. We are very value-based in the early game, and then loading up a bunch of heavy swings in the late game. Very similar to an incredibly popular deck called Crux Lorraine. So this deck honestly is just like a tier 1.5 / tier 2 version of Crux Lorraine, if we're being honest. But I think there's a lot here to explore, and it has some strengths over Crux Lorraine as well. Now we are on 4 5 of Spades in our Ciel version, and this might be where I'm losing you. So 5 of Spades is in here because it is a generic floating memory, so you can use it with Creative Shock, all that kind of stuff. And more importantly, it is a 5 cost to show with Rictus. So we have a lot of 3 cost cards in here. Rictus, you want to add up to 8. So if you see a 5 of Spades while you're doing your Reckoning's Wake, it's really easy to put 5 of Spades and a 3 cost on your top, show both with Rictus, get a +1 there, and then just discard the 5 of Spades with a Creative Shock later, or 3 of Hearts or something like that. So actually really relevant, and sometimes even just slamming it down on turn 1 is not bad either, to be frank. We have the 1 fluffy shopkeep just to give us a little bit of extra defense and card value and consistency. We're not running 4 like the Lorraine Crux Knight list do, because they want to banish their swords from their mat deck. We don't really have that luxury. You can get rid of the Spirit that you didn't materialize, and then it's already hard to choose the other item. It's a little bit of a matchup dependent, but yeah, we can't really run more than 1. You don't want to play more than 1 in a game. So we do have some Library Witches in here. These are really good for the Flame Sorcel that we run. So if you go Library Witch Cremation Ritual, you already have a 2 cost in your graveyard, make that an omen, and then now you can discard all your 2 cost float with Flame Sorcel and draw an extra card. So Witch is really good there. It's also really good to play Witch and do a Carter on top of that. So Witch just fits really well into this deck. And to go along with 2 drops that give us value, we have 4 Stalwart for obvious reasons. And then we are on just 3 Dungeon Guide. You do so much draw with this deck, even more than Crux Lorraine, that you really don't need to run a huge count of Dungeon Guide. You pretty much see it when you need it. And then we also have 4 of the arguably better guide. We have 4 Liminal Guide, obvious reasons. It's really nice to do a creative, discard a float, use that float to level up, make creative an omen, and then do a Flame Sorcel, discard the Liminal Guide, it matches creative as your omen, reserve cost, and then you can draw another card. So Liminal Guide is a incredibly good card in this deck. Then we have 3 Resolute. There's just so much attack damage going around right now. You know, Crux Knight plays this as well. We're gonna play it in addition. Then one of the really cool cards that you can run is Overpowering Defense. So you can only activate this card if a Guardian unit you control is attacking, which for example is Ciel. So if you're doing one of your really big swings to try to win the game, or it's also actually really nice for Carter. Carter is a Guardian unit. So if they try to Song of Frost your Carter cleave or kill your Carter off some way or something like that, you can actually Overpowering Defense and make sure you get that cleave off, which is super, super good. So this is a really good way to deal with Song of Frost that fire attack decks normally don't have. So honestly, one of the reasons to play this sort of deck. Then we have some of our value package. We are on 4 Creative Shock for extremely obvious reasons. And then Creative Shock's baby brother, Flamesource Ciel. So I've already talked about how you can use this in CL to get some value. And you know, it does definitely affect how we are building this deck. It being a 2 cost is really relevant as well. We are running some 6 cost in the deck, so we want a lot of 2s and 3s because we have some 6s and 5s to use with Rictus Tidings to try to get a bunch of pluses. There's just so much card draw, so much filtering in this deck. It's pretty consistent. We have 4 3 of Hearts, a super big meta red staple right now. Really good card. And then we have 4 Cremation Rituals. We have the Library Witches, we have the Stalwarts. This is a fantastic card to see in your hand. Barely ever dead in this deck. Then we're on a 2 Reduce. Obviously, you know, like we're talking about how much draw and floating and value that we're getting. Reduce is here to mainly try to get rid of a Censor. Again, you draw and filter so much that you don't really need like a super high count like other decks. You can pretty easily get it when you need it. And we just don't have the space to run more, honestly. We want to really focus on the value. All right, another spicy card. This list is jam-packed with spice. This is Fiery Swing. So first thing that you'll notice it is a 6 cost, so it is actually pretty easy to get with Rictus. If you see this with a Reckoning's Wake, you're almost certainly going to be able to +1 on the spot because you have a lot of 2-drops in the deck to pair with it. And yeah, so this is a 6 cost, 6 attack. With a class bonus of on attack, you may banish up to 6 fire element cards from your graveyard. For each card banished this way, Fiery Swing gets +1 attack. So this can actually get really huge. We don't have an overwhelming amount of fire in the list, but there is a pretty good amount of fire. I feel like on average, I'm usually getting at least +4, +5 from this. And that's like pretty easy to do. So it does get turned off by Nullifying Lantern, unfortunately, similar to how Rending Flames and Crux gets turned off by Nullifying Lantern. But the really nice thing is that you still get that 6 base power no matter what. So your attacks are still really big even through a Nullifying Lantern, which is a really big strength. So, but let's keep getting through the list and talking about one of our last cards coming up soon that makes sense as to why we play that Fiery Swing. We're on 2 Sproul. This is a really good card, just generically strong Umbra card, and we needed a little bit more late game with this deck, so I decided to include the Sprouls in here. Pretty strong. And then, of course, we are on 3 Carters. Carter is one of the reasons to run CL right now. Fantastic card to turn the tempo of a game around. And then we are on 3 Beguiling Coup. So this is the last card in the deck. I know we kind of ran right through this deck, but we're trying a video that's a little bit more quick paced for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let us know what you think in the comments. You know, sometimes our deck profiles are super in-depth. Sometimes they're like this one. So just giving a variety. This is going to allow you to play your Fiery Swing for incredibly cheap. So I mentioned Arm War being really good in this deck before. So the nice thing that you can do is you can Arm War to put a Fiery Swing in your Omens and then take another good card out from it. And then you can play Beguiling Coup for 1, use its ability for 2. So now for 3 reserve costs, you've done this, and you'll switch it with your Fiery Swing, which means that as long as Beguiling Coup is your only 1 cost, which it should be, you'll get a +1 attack there. You'll get 6 from your Fiery Swing, plus more because you can trigger the on attack if there's not like a Nullifying Lantern out. So you can get like, you know, +4 or 5 pretty easily usually there. Let's say +5. So 5 from the on attack, 1 from the coup addition, 6 from the base. That's 12 damage already. And by the time that you're playing coup, you probably have 3, 4, 5 omens. So you'll be getting +2 or +3 there. You're doing these massive swings, plus coup is switching the omen, and it's actually putting a new omen counter on. So you'll trigger your level 3 ability. There's just so much damage that happens with these. If you thought Dev Blow with Lorraine was big, wait until you see Beguiling Coup and Fiery Swing. You can get some absolutely insane attacks off in this deck. And you can even protect them with things like overpowering defense, because you're not paying 6 for Fiery Swing, you're just paying 1 plus 2 for the ability. So really cool deck here. I've been really enjoying it. Like I said, I do think it's slightly worse than Crux Lorraine, but I do think it's actually an incredibly strong version of Ciel, and I'm hoping that we see it creep into the meta sometime. We'll catch you on the next video. See ya.